Just going to be, we'll have two presentations. Ed's going to show you how to take care of plastic hives. I'm going to talk about how I prepare my hives for winterization. So this is what it's going to look like, the bottom board, screened bottom board. I really like ventilation. And this is just a spacer, but I'm going to simulate this being a slatted rack. I like slatted racks. Slatted rack is just a framework of slats, and there's half the space that is just, oh, this is a slatted rack. So the bees just get an extra inch of space to hang out, and the slatted rack just goes. This is an 8 frame, that's all right. This is what it looks like. If it was a 10 frame, it just gives the bees a little place to hang out above the landing board, and it's a gap of air that lifts the hives a little bit off of the ground, or if you have it on cinder blocks. I have my hives all on cinder blocks. So anyway, a slatted rack, and then I like to put a super of honey down on the bottom. So a super of honey down on the bottom, and they're building it right now because I'm feeding with sugar syrup, and I have a super on the top, so they'll fill that up. And in November, I'll probably slip this down there, put that on the bottom. So the bees will start, and they can distribute it. They'll start eating down here, and they'll gradually come up in the winter. So now I have 2 deeps. And I like drilling 3/4 inch holes in my deeps, again for ventilation. I think it really helps with certainly bee access. My bees don't use the bottom landing board for entrance to the hive. They're always going in these holes because it's closer to the frames. It's closer to the business of where they're going to store things. So I like these, and I think it's good for insulation as well. The next we'll have the inner cover, and I'm going to turn it upside down. So this will be regular. There's my 2 slats for feeding with a notch. So we'll turn this upside down. And then I'll have a spacer. So the spacer, I just made this myself. It's got a deep side and a shallow side. So again, it's got a notch. So I'll put this on with the deep side up because I'm going to put in my wool for moisture absorption. So I've got a wool blanket or my famous hunting socks. And we'll put them in.
You wash those first, right? Those would be.
So that will absorb all the moisture. And if I want, I can put fondant here and feed the bees in the winter. But I'll always check these socks and change them out. The last is a foam board. So this is just a 1/2 inch blue foam board. That's for insulation. And I didn't bring an outer cover, but we'll simulate that this is an outer cover. So then the outer cover goes on the top. So you got plenty of ventilation, and down below it's totally open because we have a screened bottom board. Now if you want, you can, and if it gets really cold in the winter, you can take your sticky board, and I like to make a little trap door out of it for ventilation. So this will prevent cold breezes from whooshing up underneath the hive by putting the sticky board there. And the little trap door is good because it'll allow some ventilation. So air will still circulate through the hive. Because a lot of people say that's not the cold that kills bees, it's condensation that kills bees. And if it gets too wet in there and cold in the winter, then they're not going to do well. So the last thing I'll do is put tar paper on. So I've cut this out. I made a piece in the back so I can slide the sticky board in now. And I've got extra flaps on the side because, like I said, my hives are on the cinder blocks. So these extra flaps will hang down, and that'll prevent winds from swirling up into the hive as well. So for the, I bring the tar paper just up to the top deep. So I can still remove the outer cover, remove the insulation, remove the whole shim feeding setup if I need to, without moving the tar paper. So we'll just set the tar paper there and staple it.
Do the bees get angry if you stay
Did they get what?
angry?
When I staple? Yeah. That's one of the few times I put on my bee suit. All right, there we go. So I have my little holes. So I get to move this. Oh yeah, I forgot the mouth guard. Yeah, I knew there was something I forgot. Thank you, Keith, for reminding me. So it's important to have a mouse guard. You should put them on now. And the mouse guard, the best ones I've seen are stainless steel plates with holes drilled in them, small holes. A mouse can get through. Do we have some?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So the some of the hardware cloth that you can buy is actually too big. A mouse can get through something that's small as a ½ inch. So a mouse guard is important. There you go. So this is the best kind to get. And the simple screw just holds it in place. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. My bottom board is upside down. All right. Any questions on how I prepare my hives for winter?
Yeah, Paul, do you ever use any foam around the sides?
No, I haven't. I mean, my philosophy is the bees are living in hollow trees, and they're not really well insulated. There's a lot of air coming in. So I just like the tar paper for a wind barrier. Just a wind barrier, not so much insulation. And I think if you insulate too much on the side, it may keep them too warm and there'll be too much humidity inside the hive. So maybe side insulation works well if you have a lot of ventilation, but you have to have the ventilation. So I don't even always put a sticky board in the bottom, unless it's, like getting really, really cold. So I just have open bottoms. I am experimenting with one nuke that I have that does not have an open bottom. It's got a solid bottom, so we'll see how that does this year. Interestingly, they have gummed up their top opening, and I don't know why. Maybe they like the dark.
Did you say you use open screen bottom boards with your nuke?
Did I what?
On your nuke, you use open screen bottom boards with your nuke?
Yes.
With a slatted rack on the nuke or no?
No.
And then,
Now, the nukes are just sitting there on cinder blocks and then on bricks, open bottom, but I do have the tar paper flaps that hang down below. So that's, the idea there is to prevent the swirling winds from getting underneath the hive.
and what's your nuke configuration for winter? 5/5 and medium or just 5/5?
5/5. Yeah, double deep. Oh, and with the nukes, I actually take another empty nuke, put that on top over a piece of plywood with a hole in it. So it's like an inner cover, but it's just a piece of plywood with an oval hole cut in it for feeding. So I can feed if I want to through that empty one. And I throw my socks and wool blankets in there too as a moisture control. So double deep and then an empty box on the top. That's how I do it. I get 100% survival. Yeah, question?
Okay, so I did the each foam on the side. You think it's too hot for them?
Pete says no. I'll listen to him.
Okay, And